91 points.
Yeah.
So a lot of points heading Rochdale's way.
Yeah, getting things in order, aren't they, Rochdale, ahead of next season? I think that's 4 bits of good business that you've mentioned there.
Yeah, good for them. Halifax have confirmed the signing of former winger Rob Warrensey. One of my favourites. Warrensey spent 6 years at Fax after joining the club in 2009, scoring 96 tries in 117 appearances in a spell that saw him become one of the championship's, most prolific wingers. He joins the club from fellow championship side Sheffield Eagles. Meanwhile, the club has also confirmed that winger Will Sharp will stay with them. There you go, so you can
plenty of tries
bet on Rob Warrensey to bag a few tries. Halifax also appear likely to be playing at the Shea next season after talks with Calderdale Council. Fax have been considering moving away from their home ground in 2017 after disagreements over their lease, but according to club chairman Michael Steele, progress has been made in recent discussions with the council, which is good for the stability of the club and for Halifax more generally, I would say. If they play, I mean, the Shea's a nice ground. We've been there. It's stable enough area for them to play rugby. They serve a decent pint downstairs in the bar.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of. I'm not sure where else they play.
No,
really.
It's good if this long-standing sort of rift can get healed. Though I think that'll be beneficial for the rugby club, and I'm not as fussed about the rest of it.
Yeah.
I think what's best for the rugby club is what's best for me.
Yeah, I would say so too.
I'm a rugby league fan and not a Halifax or Halifax person from Halifax.
Halifaxian.
Yeah.
There you go.
Although obviously at some point in my past, someone from my family will have come from very, very near to Halifax.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But there we go.
Okay, Dewsbury Rams have kick-started their recruitment for 2017 with the addition of 5 new signings, including former Leeds hooker Robbie Ward. Ward, who joins the club from Fev Rovers, is followed by Halifax winger Gareth Potts, Doncaster back row Brad Foster, and Keighley duo Hamish Barnes and Aaron Ollett. Head coach Glenn Morrison confirmed the signings at the club's fan forum on Wednesday, using the time to also confirm that Mitch Stringer and Lucas Walshaw will remain at the club next season after signing permanent deals. So again, another club doing their business early and looking for a settled off season. Hunslet captain Liam Mackay has signed a 12-month contract extension, keeping him at the South Leeds Stadium for 2017. Toronto have signed centre Greg Worthington from Lee, a Huddersfield junior who has played at Featherstone. He rejoins former Centurions coach Paul Rowley at the Wolfpack. Down under now, North Queensland lock Jason Tamalolo and Melbourne halfback Cooper Cronk are joint winners of the NRL 2006 Dally M medal. Canberra's Englishman Josh Hodgson had been in line for the Best and Fairest award but missed out despite being in the mix-up to round 22. The former Hull KR rake was also beaten to the Hooker of the Year title by Cronk's teammate Cameron Smith. Tamalolo had already won the Players Association honour earlier this season, and Cronk has now won the award twice.
Yeah, not happy about Josh Hodgson not being recognised. I think it's a bit of a homer call, isn't it, picking Cam Smith?
Good thing Cooper Cronk's victory wasn't based on his grand final performance as well. It's good thing they dish it out before he had that shower of shy, isn't it? Ex-Huddersfield Giants boss Paul Anderson has been appointed England assistant coach. Going into next month's Four Nations, Anderson, who's 44, will form part of the staff alongside head coach Wayne Bennett and fellow coaches Dennis Betts and Paul Wellens, who will also support football manager Jamie Peacock to prepare training and recovery sessions for the squad. Former Hull KR head coach Justin Morgan has been appointed as one of the assistant coaches to New Zealand head coach David Kidwell. Another former Robins coach Willie Poaching has also been appointed as an assistant ahead of the Four Nations this autumn. The two appointments are for the duration of the tournament, at the end of which the NZRL will conduct a review. Sam Barlow has been ordered to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work for assaulting a UK anti-doping agency official. Barlow was visited by Mark Dean at his home in Halifax, West Yorkshire in July of 2015 for a random drugs test. Mr Dean feared he was going to be punched by the physically imposing Barlow, Bradford Crown Court heard. The judge told Barlow that jailing him would be harsh and unjust. Passing the sentence, Judge Jonathan Rose told Barlow, "Your behaviour towards Mr Dean was wholly unacceptable and wholly uncalled for. He He was courteous and polite, and you met him with aggression and abuse. Barlow, who admitted common assault, received a 4-year ban from all sporting activity from UCAD for not taking the random unannounced test. Judge Rhodes said he had considered jailing Barlow, who did not physically attack Mr Dean, but for the sporting ban had left his career in ruins. He added, to send you to prison on top of that punishment would be, in the view of this court, harsh and unjust, which I would say is, fair enough, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't actually hit the guy, did he? No. His behaviour was unacceptable, but with no injuries being sustained and the serious repercussions his actions have had on his career, I think sensible.
Call it a draw. Okay, and finally, Rugby League Ireland have confirmed that they will operate a new quota system when it comes to the national side. A statement from the RLI explains a minimum of 8 players selected in senior international squads must have played club rugby in Ireland. That number is at least 6 when Ireland play in the World Cup or European Championships and are likely to face Tier 1 nations such as England or Australia. The policy will be in place for the World Cup qualifying games against Spain and Russia next month. Ireland will play development matches against Malta on October the 8th and Jamaica on October the 16th at the Carlisle grounds in Bray, County Wicklow, before the World Cup qualifiers against Spain on October the 22nd in Valencia and Russia on October the 29th in Bray. I didn't know there was a Bray in Russia, but there you go. So that's your news from around the world.
You realise that?
I know, it's really Brain Island, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
There you go.
I think that's good that they've put out a sort of blueprint as to what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
With the way that the international selection kind of in eligibility is changing, which has also been positive, I think. I think this sort of thing helps give a two-pronged approach to development in these countries, and I think it's clever that they're reining those numbers in for major tournaments, because that's when they'll get the profile, but still showing that the pathway's still there. I think it's good.
Absolutely. Off the subject slightly, but staying with kind of developing nations, did you take a look at the Serbia trade-on squad that was announced the other week with both Trbojevics in it?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they were both named in the Serbia trade-on squad. So I was quite pleased with that. That's something I mentioned. I don't know. Although last week, there was 56 of them named in the squad, so you would assume there'll be some people that do withdraw, or maybe the Trbojevics don't make the cut. I don't know. But the other name that was included in there was a favourite of ours from the rookie. Mark, can you name that prop for me?
Oh yeah. David Angelic.
David Angelic was also named in the Serbia trade-on squad, which I thought was exceptional news.
Brilliant stuff.
There you go. Right, that's the news from around the world of rugby league. Then let's take a look back now at the Super League semi-finals. Right, semi-finals weekend, Mark. We start down at the Halliwell Jones Stadium, where it was Warrington 18, St Helens 10.
Yeah.
Saints leading at half-time with this one, and then no points in the second half, for one reason or another. I'm sure we'll come to those in a minute, but what did you make of this one? I thought you got the semi-final weekend off to a nice, exciting start, really.
I thought the game was quite predictable.
Which elements of some of the decision making?
The way the two teams played.
Yeah.
And I think St Helens did their best to be dull.
But to be fair, that's what brought them to the party thus far, isn't it?
And
let's not call it dull and boring. Let's call it playing within their.
Hold on. Hold on.
It's not dull and boring.
Thankfully, there was a couple of players in the Red V that forgot about those instructions.
Right.
Johnny Lomax and Mark Percival, most notably, who are great, exciting talents who every Saints fan should be incredibly proud to have in their lineup when they're fit, because it really does make a difference. And the only excitement that Saints really brought to the first half was through those two players, really. Add on to that a little bit of Adam Swift, because we love the cartoon dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, for half an hour, St Helens didn't pose any sort of threat. And Warrington on the flip side of that, didn't really do much either. They just did what they do, which is run out of dummy half, run out of dummy half, run out of dummy half, and then the big boys do their bit of work too, alongside what Clark and Rashford and Russell are doing. And that to me was why it was quite predictable.
Okay.
And that to me made it a bit. It wasn't jumping out of my seat really at too much stuff in the first half.
Yeah.
In the second half, obviously the narrative began to build because the home side were behind at half time. They came out firing pretty well, put Saints under a lot of pressure, managed to force field position from Saints not executing well on their own sets, and then Warrington getting themselves into a position. They were able to do what those dummy half runs haven't produced maybe as much of relative to how many of them there's been, and scored a try directly from one. But it was great play from Rashford.
Yeah, tremendous.
After Dec Patton got caught on the last. And then after that, it was really St Helens didn't look threatening enough. They were, if they did get in attacking positions, it was wasted with the kind of crap that Wigan were delivering for so much of the second half of the season.
Some poor execution,
those sorts of kicks, aimless kicks in behind the defence, because you're just almost admitting that you've got no ability to break them down. But Rashford hoovered every one of those up in the second half. Warrington looked a little bit more of a threat, but St Helens goal line defence was what we know it to be. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to give away penalties or make the odd mistake in knocking something down or what have you, because they back themselves to tough it out. And they did a great job, and they came very, 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 very close to actually stopping the one movement that did get Warrington round the side in the whole match.
Which leads us to the Tom Lynham try.
Yeah.
Inverted commas. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think it was no less of a try than the Kirk Gidley one, if I'm completely honest.
Right, okay.
I think that one deserved more of a look than the video referee gave it in the actual grounding stakes of things. I'm not sure if on that first bounce it was short or on the line, and then obviously he ended up held up. It was touch and go. I think if it was given try, it has to come up, come back down, try. But I don't think they scrutinised that grounding part of. They just scrutinised the obstruction part of it.
Yeah.
The Lynham one,
which by the way, there was no obstruction. Chris Hill had got through the line.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. That part wasn't a concern.
No.
The Lynham one. I mean, they didn't even seem to think there could have been a problem, and I kind of feel from where Thaler's position was.
Yeah.
He had to go with what his touch judge was saying on that one, and his touch judge said, "No, yeah, it's fine," and so they just and so they gave the try. Obviously, in hindsight, after we all saw it a minute later, slowed down on the fourth or fifth time of replaying it, because no one was talking about it until after the play had gone, after the kick was kicked, after the play was resuming.
An afterthought in commentary. Oh, look what we've seen. So
that does suggest that it was a tough one to see it live, but you would expect in these big games the big calls to be at least checked.
Yeah.
I actually think, this is where I'm going to be maybe controversial here or not, I don't know. I actually think if it had and until Friday night, I was firm in my understanding of this is what happened. But I actually think it would have obviously gone up try, because they thought it was a try. So if they did get it checked, they would have been getting it checked under the pretext of, we think it's a try, can you just check the grounding?
Yeah.
I think he actually, from the front on angle, just about regathers
and keeps it
control of the ball in terms of pressing it against his own body after the bobble.
Yeah.
And as the ball's grounded, he's got his arm pressing it against his own body, and he grounds it with his upper body, which
is fine.
All fine in the rules of the game. So I think if it had gone up a try, there would have been enough in that to say it is a try. If it had gone up no try, then I don't think there would have been enough to say for certain he had regained controlled possession of the ball as he was going it to the ground. But
this is the sort of
I'm satisfied that I'm disappointed that it didn't get referred, but if it had come back as a try, I honestly wouldn't have worried too much about it, because it would have been in line with everything I'd seen before. And we've talked about the system, and it's going to come up throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But I sort of think that would have been in line with every single one of these types of decisions we've seen over the last year and a half, or 2 years, or whatever we've had this system in place.
Yes, it would, and it would have been concurrent, and it would have stayed within the